Okay, so that's the default music for counting down. I haven't built my own branding on StreamYard yet for that, but that's a jam. Anyway, welcome in. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Lauren Lefkowitz. I'm an executive coach, and I believe fine is a trap. And fine is the thing that we do to ourselves. It's the thing we say to ourselves and to others when we're in our careers, we're in our lives, we are doing the doing and being where we are, and we don't like it. We're not enjoying it. We're not thriving on it, but we convince ourselves and others around us that like, it's okay. That's fine. That's how things are. That's just, when you work a lot, that's how things are. When you're trying to develop your career, that's how things are. It's fine. And I don't believe we're fine. I don't believe that we have the capacity to live in this like middle ground world where we just sort of settle for so-so. So for 30 days in a row, I am going live every day to talk about different aspects of executive coaching, boundaries, burnout, workaholism, people-pleasing, perfectionism, all things work. If you are watching this live or on the replay, welcome in. And please feel free to DM me if you have a topic you want me to talk about. Basically, nothing that is career and life related is off limits. And, you may get an opportunity to learn about something that you've been afraid to ask out loud. And I can give us the opportunity to chat about it. So today we're going to talk about the number of hours that we work. And it's interesting because if you had asked me back in the day, back in my corporate days, how many hours a week I work, I would have told you 80 to 100, which was the absolute truth. I worked 12 to 15 hour days, often 7 days a week, often through my vacations, etc. 0 stars. Do not recommend. It's not a healthy way to live in the world, unless you're actually like freaking loving it and thriving on it, right? And so I talked about that a little bit in yesterday's live, that like there's no specific number of work hours that you hit and you're like, this is the ideal for everybody. Everybody's a little bit different. But when that work and when that job or career or environment or boss or coworkers or misaligned mission is dragging you down, then like 30 hours is too much, right? So if you're then working 80 or 90 or 100 hours or 60 hours or 55 hours or whatever it is, the level of stress that's in the job really matters. Like it really makes a difference. And so a little exercise that I like to do is to grab a pen and paper or your notes app or whatever it is. And I want you to write down or type in how many hours a week you work. So just take a minute to figure out like, I work 8-hour days, sometimes 9-hour days. So maybe that's like 43 hours a week. Or, in the height of the season, I work 60 hours, but when it's lighter, I'm like 35 hours. So that averages out to, 50 hours a week. So give yourself a minute to just sort of figure out like, how much are you working? Cool. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is think about what time you wake up in the morning on a weekday, let's say. What time do you wake up in the morning? And when you wake up, how long does it take you to start thinking about work? And not just like wake up, oh, what day it is? Oh, it's a Tuesday, I work today. No, because that's in and out of your head. I'm talking about waking up, picking up your phone to see what's on your calendar for the day, to see what messages you might have missed overnight, waking up with a start because, oh my gosh, you were supposed to hand in something yesterday and you totally forgot about it, or so-and-so is waiting to hear back from you. And now you think that they're going to get in touch with your boss or your colleagues or call you out in a meeting or something like that. I'm talking about the time when work enters your mind so that it doesn't leave for the day. Okay. So let's say you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm assuming you're a later sleeper. But let's imagine you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and it's a work day. Are you immediately on your phone? Because if so, or if you're immediately stressing about work, or if you're immediately thinking about it, or if you're brushing your teeth and watching a video or reading a document that is going to impact your day for work, then you're working from the time you wake up. Okay. So, and you may take breaks throughout the morning, right? Like at some point you're going to shower, probably morning or night. At some point you're going to interact with family members or your dog or neighbors outside when you're walking your dog. So you'll be distracted from work. So I don't know, you can take out 10 minutes here or there, but basically if you wake up at 7 in the morning and you don't start sitting at your desk until 9, but from 7 until 9, you're thinking about all the things that need to get done. You're dreading some meetings, you're excited about others, you're doing final prep work, you're changing things on your calendar, then that 7 to 9 time period, that's work time. Okay. So now let's imagine you're working from 7 in the morning until, I don't know, let's imagine you leave work at 6. Cool. Maybe you go to lunch. Maybe you take a lunch break. Maybe you take a lunch break with a coworker. Maybe you take a lunch break to do some online shopping. But your phone rings, you're going to probably pick it up. An email comes through from your boss. You're probably going to respond to it. While you're at lunch, if you're at lunch with a coworker, you're going to be talking about work. So I'm going to go ahead and consider that work time also. Okay. So now we're from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. with probably not really much of a break. So we're talking about an 11-hour day. And that's if you're working 9 to 6, by the way. We're talking about an 11-hour day. So now you've been working for 11 hours and the day is over. Do you wrap up your job at the 6 p.m. time and just leave? Are you out? If you are, good for you. But so many of us take the drive home or the time to stop and get dinner or stop and do whatever. And so many of us are then checking our phone to see what has come in since we left. So I want you to now think about the time from when you leave work to when work is off of your mind, when it's out of your brain. Okay. So let's imagine that you have a partner that you have dinner with every night. And you talk about your work day. We'll call that a debrief. We'll call that an escape from work. You talk about your work day. So maybe you're an hour or 2 hours, and then you sit down for the night, you watch some TV, or you hop on the treadmill or the Peloton or whatever it is you do at night. Are you checking your phone? Are you checking your calendar? Are you responding to emails? If so, you are working again. So if you're taking a break from 6 to 7 to have dinner with somebody, or 6 to 8 even to have dinner with somebody, and then you're back at it, and it's like until bedtime really that you keep occasionally checking in on work. And let's say you go to bed at, I don't know, 11. So from like maybe 8 to 11, you're doing some work. And so now we were at 11 hours and now we're at 15 hours. So that's your 15-hour workday. And if that's happening basically every weekday, then, and you're working 15-hour days every weekday or more because you're just not stopping. And then on the weekends, you're picking up some work too. I got to pull out my calculator now because I'm not so good at math. But if you're working 15 hours a day and you're working that 5 days a week, that's 75 hours. And let's say you even pick up 10 hours over the weekend. You're working 85 hours a week. Without even thinking about it, without even planning, with having a work day that feels like it's 9 to 6 because you work from 9 to 6, you are actually taking yourself up to 75 to 85 hours a week of your time, attention, energy, fear, excitement, angst, disappointment, stress. You're spending all of that time during the week working. Now, add to that, if you're an anxious person right here who has nightmares about work, add those in too. May as well, because you spent the whole night dreaming about work. So, go ahead and add that. When you start thinking about work outside the scope of the hours you report in to the hours that you leave, you start to realize what a time and energy suck work can be. Now, it can also be the opposite. It can also be like really energizing and really exciting and really fulfilling, especially if you get to have a job where you feel like you're enjoying it and you're being impactful. And so I'm not saying that necessarily having your brain on work a lot of the time is a bad thing. I'm saying it's a bad thing if you also don't really like what you're doing. If you're walking around saying like work is fine, the pay is fine, my boss is fine, it's fine that I have this much work to do, it's fine that I have too many direct reports, it's fine that they won't let me fire this guy who is making my life miserable at work, whatever it is, the more you're saying it's fine, the more that you're talking about it being fine when it's not actually fine. And you're spending all of these hours every week going to the same place, working for the same people, working towards the same mission that is damaging to you. The more work you're doing, the more time you're doing that, the more likely you are to carry that with you through the week, through the month, through the year, and to start self-identifying as a person who works, eats, and sleeps. And there is so much more to life than that. But when we get to especially like the director and above level, the director level, the VP level, the CEO level, we think that we have to, take everything that comes at us because with the reward of bigger money, with the reward of more responsibility, the reward of the title, the reward of status, whatever it is, we think we have to be punished as well. We think there has to be some sort of balance. And thanks, Jess. Jessica Bruno came over on Instagram to say she loves the hair color. I appreciate that. I do too. Very happy to be a redhead again. So when you think about your day and your week, and I was just literally talking, I planned this topic yesterday, but I just was literally talking to a former client today who was saying, that she's figuring out now like what to do with her time because she doesn't spend nearly as much time working. And also she doesn't spend nearly as much time thinking about work and dreaming about work and stressing about work because of our work together, where she really took control of what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it. She worked with her company to show them who she was and how amazing she was. And she took a move into a department and a team that is like so much better for her. And now she's figuring out like, what do people do with time when they're not so focused on work? And that is sort of the next step. And the next phase of things is when you do have that time on your hands, when you do get to play with your time a little bit more, there's both the stress and the pleasure of figuring out what you like to do besides work. So when you think about how many hours you work and you add in the hours, the days, the weeks, the time you think about work from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, whether it infiltrates your dreams, I would love to hear from you either in the comments on the replay or send me a DM and tell me what's your calculation for how many hours a week you're actually working. That's question one. Question two is, how does that serve you? Does that make sense for you? Because for a while, when I was working 80 hours a week, totally made sense for me. It was like a new career opportunity. It was exciting. People were appreciative of the work I was doing. I actually really enjoyed working the 80 hours a week. Then I didn't. And then it was so bad because I had like groomed myself into being this person who worked 80 hours a week and I didn't know how to back out of it. Having a coach myself is what helped me back out of it. So tell me, How many hours are you working a week when you calculate it all together? How does that serve you? And if it doesn't serve you well, what do you wish was different? I would love to hear from you, either in the comments or in a DM. I'm going to jump off for today, but just a reminder, I'm going live for 30 days in a row and holding myself accountable with my business coach, who's also going live for 30 days in a row, and follow our adventures and our individual consequences if we do not each go live 30 days in a row. Thanks so much for being here and have an amazing day. Bye.